Shalom, call hello, Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shabbat, Hashim Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us his truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect, tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yashawan, back with the WW3 Daily update. Shalom and salutations to you as well. We're going to keep this short because the last couple of updates have been about an hour long. Straight to the point. We'll start right here, 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? This is Esdras talking, right? Because he's being shown a vision and he's saying, damn, it's going to be crazy in them days. How am I going to get up out of there? How am I going to live through this situation? And then he describes what he's seeing, right? In the vision that he's watching. Like, it was as if somebody brought out an iPad and hit play on the iPad and a video started going, showing him, showing him that he's describing what he saw. The beginning of sorrow, saying shit was fucked up on the earth at that time. And great mourning. People were crying and sighing and catching hell. The beginning of famine. There wasn't no food. And you know what happens when nobody has food, right? Cannibalism, theft, sticking up your buddy, taking his food, stealing, and great death, hey, to the horse's bridle. Right? You walk down the street, there's dead bodies laying on either side of you. And here's what we're looking at. Here's the point. The beginning of wars. What happens in a war-stricken environment? All of this. And the power shall stand in fear. Hey, you know what? Everybody's afraid right now. Why is everybody afraid? Because these wars that we see right now, what's going on in Eastern Europe, right? Who is fighting who? Right? In the 1980s, right? Russia was fighting against the United States, right? In what they call the Cold War. What? Beginning of wars. The Cold War. Okay, during the Cold War, Russia was fighting against the United States, and the United States was fighting against Russia in what you call a proxy war, right? Through who? Where did Saddam Hussein get his weapons of mass destruction? He got them from the United States. That's why they knew he had them, because they gave them to fight against who? To fight against the Iranians. Iraq and Iran were fighting against each other in the 1980s. Iran was being funded and armed by Russia. Iraq was being funded and armed by the United States. Okay? Today, we see Russia fighting against Ukraine. Not, right? It's the same proxy war. U.S. against Russia, right? Why are the powers standing in fear? Because they know this is it. It's going straight nuke. The beginning of evils. What shall I do? Ezra's like, damn. All of this hypersonics, satellites, and bioweapons. He's like, that shit's crazy. What's going to happen in the time that we're in now? He was given a vision of what we're watching right now. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Ezra's like, damn, how am I going to get out of that? Right? Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Okay? The Most High is bringing this judgment. All right? So, back to the point, the beginning of wars. Okay? All of this stuff comes with war. Great death comes with war. Famine, right? What was the first thing? Russia couldn't export their wheat because of the embargo and the blockade and da-da-da-da. What does that mean for the rest of the world? Okay? Anyway, let's go here. Try to keep it short. This happened yesterday, and right after this guy put up another video of the dam blown. So this is Nate, the Canadian prepper, 14 hours ago. Breaking news. It has begun. What has begun? The so-called spring counteroffensive, right? That's what they're talking about. So the Ukrainians are fighting back, so they say. We'll see how far that goes.
Hi, folks. Canadian Prepper here. Welcome back to the Daily Dose of Doom and Gloom. This is the SHTF FUDometer. FUD standing for Fear, Uncertainty, and Doubt a meter. I've currently arbitrarily assessed the situation to be 75 out of 100. 100 in this context being the use of nuclear weapons.
The use of nuclear weapons. See? Everybody, the world is afraid right now. They know where this is going. Okay? This is less than 24 hours old. This should be on everybody's mind. What happens when the news? Well, what you gonna do with it? Well, I have a plan.
They're that close to the use of nuclear weapons or some equivalent existential calamity that might befall humankind. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that's remarkably conservative. Only 75 out of 100 when we've been talking about World War III for the last 18 months. And you would be correct, especially in light of the fact that right now, as we speak, you have Polish mercenaries and American Abrams tanks alongside their Ukrainian and Russian reactionary brethren storming the front lines of Russian territory. NATO is effectively invading Russia. And I know some people are going to say, that's not NATO, that's just the Ukrainians and some guys who got together because they wanted to have a good time and, test out their skills. Well, it's NATO funded, it's NATO weapons, it's NATO intelligence, it's NATO logistics, and it's probably NATO troops.
American. NATO starts with America.
Masquerading as mercenaries, helping out the cause, helping out to invade Russia. Now, if you were to tell me a year ago, Nate, in 1 year's time, NATO is going to be invading Russia, and you would still have an internet connection to make sensationalist thumbnails about it, I would tell you, man, you're out to lunch.
What does the A stand for in NATO?
It's Mad Max at that point in time, but here we are. This shows the incredible amount of either restraint that the Russians have, or that we've all been bamboozled by the Western media into thinking that the Russians have less options than we actually know. We're going to talk about all the data points that inform this assessment right now. Now, according to a retired brigadier general, Kevin Ryan, he says that Putin has already made the choice to use nukes, that the pretext has already been set, and they've already primed their population, or they're in the process of priming their population.
Are you listening to the language? Where is this thing going? So this guy goes on, he waxes for a whole 48 minutes. And we're not going to listen to all that. We're just going to read these. Putin has made the choice to use nukes. Huh? Russia media. War with NATO is inevitable. Duh. Information war ramps up. Massive Russian naval exercises. All exercises are not even exercises at this point. It's maneuvers on the battlefield. China warship confronts U.S. and Taiwan. This brings it to world war, not just Russia against U.S. This is everybody's getting involved. Germany to send fighter jets. This is world war. Is Putin a genius? Russian civil war. Counteroffensive begins? Question. What counteroffensive? The spring counteroffensive. Russia against the so-called Ukrainians, which are the NATO or the EU or the Americans. And then the Putin deepfake hack martial law, whatever. Poland invades Russia. You see, listen, you see the language? It's war. Now, why are we watching so closely? Because we know the sequence of events. What events? The prophecies, right? These things have to come to pass before we can get the hell up out of this condition that we're in. All right. So anyway, instead of playing that whole thing, we're going to look at what he posted after this. This is breaking news. It has begun, which should be, where is it? Breaking news. It has begun. Breaking news. It has begun. And then this is the new one. The new one is emergency update. This is 14 hours ago. This is 11 hours ago. Dam destroyed. Nuclear. There's that word again. Nuclear plant alert. Crimea cut off. Blah, 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 blah. Let's watch a little bit of this after a million commercials.
So what is ClickUp?
And then we'll go ahead and cut it short.
Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here, late night emergency video for you today on the World War III front. This is going to be a bit of a hot take, but this is something we were warning about last year when the Russians were retreating from Kherson. We talked about how they may blow the Kakhovka Dam, they as in either side, because both sides are accusing the other of this particular incident that you're seeing right here. This Kakhovka Dam goes across the Dnieper River. It serves a variety of functions. It's a hydroelectric plant. It's also a road, and it also dams up the water so that the Crimean Canal can be fed. That's where the Russians in Crimea get all of their water and irrigation needs met. This is a massive blow to Russia. They are not going to let this one slide. The war just escalated in a way that nobody really anticipated, or we...
The war just escalated. Okay. The question is, when did the pocket nukes come out? When did the tacticals come out? Right? When did the suitcases come out?
Or just escalated in a way that nobody really anticipated, or we did anticipate, but we just forgot about it. We thought that they were going to honor Article 56 of the Geneva Convention and not do something like this. Because there are rules to war, but none of those rules are being honored on either side of this conflict. I mean, the idea of having rules of war means that you need somebody to enforce those, rules. And when you're talking about World War III, it's unenforceable. So what we have here is there's four possible explanations. One, the Ukrainians did it. One, the Russians did it. One, the Ukrainians shelled it at an earlier date, or the Russians shelled it at an earlier date, and the failure only occurred now due to the accumulation of spring runoff in the river. The Dnieper River is highest right around this time of year because March and May, from that period of time, that's when everything melts. This is peak river time right now. And the river is actually at a higher level than usual. So some people are suspecting that the damage was caused last year during the Kherson retreat, and we do have some footage of that actual event. This is what happened last year, okay? So this is the dam, and it was shelled. The Russians claim that it was hit by HIMARS. Now, the Russians also claim that they intercepted several attempts to use HIMARS on this bridge last year. But the Ukrainians are insisting it was the Russians who did it. Now, cui bono?
You see this? Could this be what Ezra's was looking at? Or was he looking at the final barrage, which is mutually assured destruction with nukes going off on all sides of the earth? Right?
Who benefits from such an event? We're going to talk all about that right now.
Okay, so right now is where I'm going to stop this. So go watch Nate, right? His last two videos to bring you up to speed. But the point is that somebody blew this dam, all right, which has escalated the war into the next phase. And again, if we go back here, the question is how soon? Where's this guy at? Oh, that was in the other one where he had the little doomsday clock. How soon to the nukes, right? How soon do we see actual nuclear warfare? Because at that moment, things are going to be moving fast. Oh, you used a nuke? We're going to retaliate. And it'll start off with pocket nukes or what they call tacticals, right? Suitcase nukes, right? And then it'll escalate. Short range, long range ICBM. So we're very close, all right? Now, simultaneously, when this war is jumping up, what has to happen before we get to ICBMs? That mark of the beast has to come out, all right? As far as the the breakdown of the prophecies go. Prophecies have an order, okay? So before we see the ICBMs, which are going to bring about the end of the world as we know it, we got to see those, the hour of temptation, if you will, if you know what that is. If you don't know what the hour of temptation is, watch the videos, all right? Anyway, with that, we're going to bring, let's see, we'll get one more. All right. Let's show the very end on the way out. Revelation 13, let's go to 11. And here's the end right here. Revelation 11 and 12, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither, right? What's your plan? How are you going to get out of it? And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they, the elect of Israel, ascended up to heaven in the cloud. Right? Here's how you get out of it. You ascend up to heaven in a cloud. What's another way of saying that? Being abducted by aliens. Right? And their enemies letting you know that they were at war. Right? Who's they? They had enemies. Whose enemies? Their enemies. Who's there? They. Who's they? Okay. Okay. They are the ones that stood upon their feet. All right. The spirit of life from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua entered into them. Who's that? The 12 tribes of the lost sheep of Israel. The elect of the 12 tribes of the lost sheep of Israel. Right? The chosen of the chosen. Anyway, after they ascended up to heaven, or after they were abducted by aliens, if you will, then this happened. And the same hour was there a great earthquake. This is the ICBM part of World War III. And the 10th part of the city fell. Let's talk about Babylon the Great, America. And in Babylon is fallen, right? And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000. This means everybody that didn't get abducted by aliens died. They were slain. What does that mean? They died. They were killed. They were killed what? In the earthquake. Them ICBMs. How do you know all of them died? Because 7 represents completion. 7,000. They all died. Right? If you didn't get beamed up, you're the enemy of the Most High. He didn't save you. He left you there to die. Right? And the remnant, who's the remnant? The ones that were abducted by aliens. Remnant were, they were scared because they barely made it. Right? And gave glory to the power of heaven. Yahweh Shabbat, the water, the water, the water. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and close. We hope that the elect will edify you. Brothers and few sisters, with that, I'm going to say shalom.